Do you remember anything about your early school aside from reading? Did you have any other studies?
No, I don't. I really don't. Except I had no problems in school. I remember I learned. We moved to 55th Street. I think I've told you about. And after we moved there, at least the first year, I remember we lived on 55th between 8th and 9th. And either on 9th Avenue or 10th Avenue, there was an elevated train that went north and went up to near where the school was. And I remember that my brother and I used to go back to St. Agnes School on the L in those days. And I remember making a big mistake one day. It was a nice day, and I stuck my head out the window. I had this very nice cap, and it blew off. And I heard about that very much when I got home.
I bet.
Yeah, big time.
What was it like to lose things in those days?
Well, it was so bad that we got off the train and got out and started looking all over for the cap and never did find it. And then we were in real trouble and had to walk home. And I forget whether we didn't get to school that day or not. I don't know.
What about, you have an anecdote here about a time somebody wanted to give you and Leon a ride.
Yeah. New York was, to us, an adventure place. You know, we were little kids and we had no fear. Not at all. And I remember we were walking someplace not too far from home, probably close to Broadway, and I remember we had just walked around a corner onto 55th Street, and we had another couple of blocks to get back to our house. And I remember that a man in a car turned around and says, "Hey, can he give us a ride?" And I always took charge of any decisions that had to be made between my brother and me. And I don't know why, but I said, "Oh no, thank you." I don't remember ever being taught not to take a ride or anything like that from anybody who offers you a ride. I don't remember that. I may have been. I doubt it, frankly. But I remember there was something that I was just plain moved to say, "No, thank you," and we took off. And I'd always wondered if, you know, in this day and age, we know what happens when kids are given rides. And I just wonder if that may have been part of the deal that we were fortunate enough to miss.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that you think back of in life and you wonder, was there a hand that sort of moved you through on that one? As happens often in life.
How else did you find yourself sort of protecting your little brother?
More often than not.
Yeah.
More often than not. My brother was not the most self-assertive person. I don't know that I was either. But my brother, in those days anyway, even less so. And I always felt that, you know, I'm the big brother here, so I need to take charge.
Interesting. When did you leave the St. Agnes School?
I don't know exactly. I knew it was we were going to St. Agnes School at 55th Street. Whether it was for a year or 2 years, I don't remember. Because I also remember on 55th Street we went to PS 69, Public School 69, which is a couple of blocks or so south. So I don't remember the exact time that we changed. Whether it was 4th, 5th grade, the 3rd or 4th grade, I just don't know. I just don't have any sequence of time kind of memory at all. That just doesn't make sense. Doesn't work for me.
Yeah. What did you notice a difference between the St. Agnes School and the public school?
I'm sure I did, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
School was school to me. And there was a time in New York City, New York State, there was what is known as the Regents system. And New York City, the New York State Regents school system was, at those days anyway, considered a very well-run school system around the state. And so we all met New York Regents system standards wherever you were.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, schooling has changed a lot in how many years, but especially the last 50 years. But the standards in those days were considered pretty higher for around the countryside, and I felt that we were pretty well educated.
Okay.
It wasn't until I got into high school up in Houghton that I began to realize I'm not making it. Took me a while to realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess, can you fill me in? I guess in high school you weren't quite making it. And it was at the end of high school, or like once you got out of high school that you noticed that there was a difference in terms of your not.
Where I really found out was when in Houghton, New York, the only high school that was available was at the college that my father taught at, and it was called then the Houghton Prep School. It was the equivalent of Houghton's, the town's school.
Mm-hmm.
But it was run by the college, that little college in a little town.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've mentioned to you that we went, my brother and I went in the fall of 1945, we went to Mount Hermon School for boys, as it was called then. It had a sister school called the Northfield School for girls, and it is now the Northfield Mount Hermon School, and it is a co-education. Mm-hmm. But at that time it was a boys' school, and I remember that when I got there, I slowly began to realize I ain't cutting it. Mm. And I truly believe that they were very nice and let me out. I don't think I really qualified for graduation. It's just that they knew I probably wouldn't be sent back for cost reasons. And that was the beginning of my recognition that I had, at least until during my high school time, up until that time, I had not been well educated. Most of the graduates of Mount Hermon School, the common place for all Mount Hermon School graduates to go, Yale, Princeton, Dartmouth, Bowdoin, all of those, Harvard, all of those up east Ivy League schools. Mm-hmm. That was the destination that almost all of them were going to. Mm. I was going to Kent State University in Ohio, and all my classmates say, "You're going to where?" I remember that I didn't cut much of a good figure, being known to go to an Ohio State University.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Back in New York, tell me about the May Day parades.
That was the day when the Communist Party was still very active in the country. May Day, of course, is the big celebration day of the year for the Communist Party worldwide, still today. And there was a big May Day parade in New York City every year in the 30s. And of course, I don't remember where it went down Broadway, which is 2 or 3 blocks away, 3 or 4 blocks away. I don't remember where the parade itself was, but it backed up in the lineup to get started in all the side streets, of which ours is one. And I can remember 2 or 3 years, the wild characters and the floats and the banners and the signs and so forth, which for a few hours would be in our street before it was our street's time to go and join the parade wherever it was a few blocks away.
Do you remember anything about the attitudes and maybe of your parents, or just of the general attitudes of the day towards communism?
No. Mm-hmm. No. I really don't remember anything. I have an idea that they didn't have much patience or truck with it, just knowing them who they are, but this is New York, and this is what went on in New York City at that time.
Yeah.
Another thing that I remember on that street, totally unrelated, was milk delivery. I remember that one year they would deliver milk in bottles and put it on our front steps and so forth. Mm-hmm. I remember one year all of a sudden the horse-drawn carriages, the horse-drawn wagons were silent. They went from having steel-rimmed wheels to rubber tires.
Really?
And we didn't hear the milk cart going down the street. All of a sudden they were quiet. I do remember that. It would have been in the mid-late 30s sometime.
Of course, the milk wasn't the same as from back on the farm.
No, but it was still, it wasn't homogenized. Homogenized milk didn't come until much later. I was either in college or after I was out of college. I don't remember when homogenized milk came. Milk was milk with cream on the top. And you either shook it or poured it off if you wanted to have some cream. Have that separately.
Oh.
So it was not at that time homogenized. I do remember that.
Yeah.
And if it was freezing, it would freeze a little bit, and it would be a little bit of milk ice, and the cap of the milk bottle would be up here, and you take it inside, and it thaw and go back down again.
I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. We got 3 minutes until I just got to switch out the camera.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Shall we wrap for this?
Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap for this.
Okay.
No. I'm saying I think we can keep going. If you guys have the energy, all I have to do is literally just spend 2 minutes.
I'll leave it up to the director here.
Why don't we do a 5-minute break or so and
see what we want to do.
Yeah, and then I definitely think for those of you listening out there, I think we should definitely do another.
Got anything else in the 3 minutes that we got?
Not 3 minutes worth. Yeah, no, not 3 minutes worth. I think we have quite a bit more than 3 minutes worth to go through.
Those were good years. I can remember one detail that I haven't talked about.
Okay.
We were talking about music, which I remember mostly I was being taught music when we lived at 55th Street in the brownstone. Next door was the National Bible Institute, which was a college kind of a religious school. And my father directed the choir and the music and taught voice there. And I remember he had a choir there. And I remember I used to often go with him to a choir rehearsal and sit in the choir on the front seat. My feet would not touch the floor. And I'd sit in a chair and I would sing music. And I could read the music at that time. I remember those days. And that's where I really first started to sing and know what a choir was.
Excellent.
That would be back in maybe 8, 9, 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, sometime in that frame of time.
Interesting.
It was an interesting experience to be able to learn something about making choral music and singing at that time. Those are days, music-wise, that were very important. My father, I think at last time when we were talking, I think that I mentioned that my father was a great one at teaching us to listen. Did I talk much about that?
Mm-hmm.
Did I talk much about the fact that he took us to concerts?
Yes.
When he took us to concerts, he himself, being a teacher of music, knew how to listen to a performance with different kind of ears than just somebody going to a concert for the entertainment. And he would always come out of a concert and talk to either my brother and me, or me, if it was just me, he would talk to us about, did you notice how the conductor did this? And did you notice that when the pianist played this, such and such happened? And remember the particular theme? And he would sing it, and how he conducted it and so forth. And we listened. That was the beginning of learning how to listen to music. And I have an idea we were just about to run out. This needs to be continued.
Excellent.
Because this is one of the best parts. Okay?
Excellent.
Good timing?
Yes, good enough.
Cool.